Holy crap! It's
Holy
time
crap.
for Murder Moose. Rod, it's time.
Murder. I'm like, I was doing like an excitement thing, and it just looks like I'm like groping a set of giant testicles, like, yeah. And it's just two of us for once. Like we've been recording on Mondays a lot, or even like Sunday, like if like someone like Katie Peters was on, but like, and so we're recording Tuesday night because last night was Halloween, so we're like, me and Josh were running on like circles, and so yeah, we are here. And
Halloween's a big night.
Yeah, it is, especially for us horror heads. How was your little haunt, Josh? You beautiful bastard.
It was awesome, man. It was. I took a year off last year and went out with my nieces at their place and stuff, which was like the first time. But you know, with the separation and everything, I was like, it just doesn't feel right. And this year, I was like, I'm bringing it back, and it was awesome, and I killed it. And
of course, you did.
Yeah, no, it was good. And then my niece and sister came over and helped, and my sister took over my Freddy costume because I'm always Mike Myers. And there were some good scares this year. Tons of kids, like over 200 again this year. And
awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Dude, those things are always so fun. And it was like I went to my first like real haunted houses last year. It was like the like Halloween Horror Nights. And the problem with those things, I've talked about it here, is like they push so many people through them that it's like hard to get scared because like
there's too many people. And you're seeing the scares before you get to it. Whereas I can have it like it sucks when there's like it's good when there's a bunch of people because if it's timed out perfectly and depending on where I'm situated, because this is one of the animatronics behind me and a lot of them stopped working because weather and whatever, so they just stand there and they look creepy and I light them or have strobes and stuff, so I'm in full Mike Myers costume with gloves and boots and everything, so I stand still and try and look as much like an animatronic as possible. And then I'll let two people pass me, so then the people behind them think, oh, it is just a wah! And then they get really scared.
That people do that with like the porches, like where they put out like a rocking chair and then they sit there like in a Michael Myers mask or something like that you're talking about, and then they wait till someone to come up and get the candy, and then
it's setting the precedent because like there's a zombie that's almost as tall as me, there's a Frankenstein one that is taller than me, and I'm 6'2", so like the Frankenstein is huge, and then there's like this witch is like shorter, but there's like a whole bunch like just standing there doing whatever, and two fog machines and strobe lights and crazy music, and there's some scared kids for sure.
I don't think I don't even know if I put two and two together that you were 6'2", Josh. That means we're tall boys. Like I'm still taller than you by an inch, but like my posture's horrible. So like
so am I. Look at me.
I know. I'm just like, dude. I was sitting there like we were at Res Rocks on Friday night, and it was like. We got there like 5:30, and I think we left at like 11:45, and like Res was played for like a couple more songs, and I'm just like, it's just you realize when you hunch over for a little bit, and then you're like your back's like, because it's just, if you've never seen Red Rocks, it is like it's just bleachers basically right into this like canyon. They built all these bleachers, and so there's no backing, like so when you like slump over funny, which I do a lot, especially when I'm sitting next to my wife, because like I think I'm like internally like trying to get like down like closer to her level or some shit like that. I don't know. My wife's a shorty at 5'4", so but yeah. Guess what though, Josh? We are part of the Slash and Cast podcast network.
Oh, it's in the game.
It's in the game. Dude, we were both so busy. We didn't do anything for the virtual thing again, and it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like we're both always running around. Like it is just the podcast is one of the many things I'm doing all the time, and so it's just like,
even just to get to this movie this weekend was hard. I was like, oh, I'm going to do it this night, and then I got called out, and I didn't know I was going to like a Halloween party. Then there was one, and I was like, sweet. So I went to that, and then I didn't know I was going to be commissioned by two separate indie movies to do posters over the weekend. So I didn't have time to do a poster for this one like I normally do. Don't want to force it either because like Creepy Duck, like he killed it. Look at this thing.
Yep.
It's perfect. It would have been hard for me to like come in anywhere, like, because I know like this character's iconic. I look up to Creepy Duck when he has the official poster for a movie. I want to like slot in either like, what I did with VHS, which is like super punk rock and completely different than what he did, or I don't know how I could even one up this. Like it's something I try to do with posters. It's like I see it, I want to see if I can one up it. This one's too perfect.
So you know what I would have done if I was you, like, because the thing that this we're talking about Terrifier 2. I don't want to get into it yet, but
I would have did a cereal box or something.
It reminded me of Japanese like Splatterhouse films.
Totally.
And so like if you would have done like turned it totally Japanese, like you could have done it like like in the style of Japanese posters, like how they always do the like down angle looking up at like whatever character is on the poster or whatever like that. Like I think of like things like Tokyo Gore Police and stuff like that, but like that's like I think you would have done
this
that.
This movie is gory.
Dude, I laughed though. I watched it. I'm like, they didn't even top the fucking hacksaw scene in the first one. Like, I don't think that they did. Like this movie,
I think morally though, like they go down moral.
Yeah.
Like they'll. What he does differently in this one, whereas like, I don't know how you're ever going to top like the split in half scene from the first one, because that is like, it's putting like the crazy factor and the messed up factor like to the brink, whereas this one does a whole bunch of messed up things and then it presents it to an audience within the movie that makes you feel even grosser, like mom or kids or like that type of stuff. And that's where this one is going to make you, like they're saying, puke or pass out, because then it makes you go to that place yourself, and it doubles down.
And before we dive in, I have to say that the person who directed Puppet Master Dr. Death is an asshole, and I hate him. So Jerry messaged me the other day on Friday. This asshole went behind everyone in the studio's back and took out all of Jerry's music besides the title intro music, and replaced it with music from previous Puppet Master movies. And like the guy who runs Full Moon was so pissed, he like blacklisted this asshole and whatever. But he's gonna have Jerry score 2 more films, but like it got released out in the wild without any, like Jerry's like one track in it. And it's just like, yeah.
What the hell?
It's fucking, yeah. They said that Jerry found out that the guy is not like easy to work with and notoriously an asshole, and and nobody knew he did it. Like he turned it in, and no one knew that he had done that. So, yeah, fucking poor guy. Before we go into that though. What else? Is there anything else you've been watching? I mean, you sound like you're busy as shit. I only I dove in and watched. I was trying to show my wife Barbarian, and then she didn't she was like too busy with other stuff, and so she didn't watch that. And then so I watched the first Puppet Master because I'd never seen it. Like all excited because of Jerry and getting to do that thing, and yeah, so I didn't that was like really my only other thing I watched all weekend.
I've been diving into the cabinet of curiosity. I'm almost done. I think I have maybe 1 or 2 episodes left. And
I hear good things.
Yeah, like there's some are a lot better than others, but like consistency wise, like when you have Guillermo like producing, it all has that like, old school, like period style horror down, but like I don't know if it's because he's producing it, like the color grade is amazing and just like the everything. I don't know. Like he makes it look good.
He got good filmmakers to do those. Like I haven't dove in yet. I have to watch that, and I have to watch the Flanagan thing, Midnight Club or whatever it's called.
So I don't know. The trailer for that did not make me want to watch it.
It's Flanagan though, man. Flanagan is fucking like everything that the guy does is fucking gold. Like
I haven't watched all of his stuff, but like I want to dive into all of his movies. Like I still haven't seen what's that one, Gerald's Game or whatever. I haven't seen a bunch, like, because I didn't know that he was the one doing it. So I was like, oh man. So I have a long list.
You have to watch the Mirror one. What the fuck is it called?
Oculus.
Oculus. Yeah, you have to watch that. That one is.
Yeah, I wanted to see that and was gonna see it in theaters, but then because the trailer was cut to make it look so cliche, Ben and I skipped it.
Yeah, it is. It is worth watching. I never saw it either. It looked like it, dude. Everything in that movie, including it's the most Josh ending, like of many of the films we've seen. So like, yeah. Well, maybe we do that next week. Like we do Oculus, since either that or we like, dude. I want to hit like because I was kind of like talking, like not talking shit, but I was like, as soon as I watched Terrifier 2 last night, I tweeted out, I was like, you motherfuckers need to watch some goddamn like foreign horror, because like everyone act like the things of this, and I want to. Let's just get into it, and we won't.
It's because it's piled on. It piles it on thick. It's pretty relentless. There's not a lot of like, even though it is a longer movie. Yeah, the stuff that happens is like, yeah.
So we're not gonna spoil things right away. We'll give a spoiler warning, but I want to say, it is the thing that like threw me off just a little bit. The fucking bodies just threw me off. They didn't, like, the lack of them being anything besides blood sacks of whatever when he was killing people. And the first one I noticed it at that decapitation death fairly early on, like the first like half an hour, 45 minutes at the magic store, where he cuts the guy's head off, and all you see is just like goo and gunk, and there's like no bone and there's no muscle. It's like they just take these fucking bodies and they fill them up with like guts and shit like that, and they don't have any like, and it just so it looks like
it's because goo and blood is what makes people, like general audiences, go ew, and people like us who are like we watch it differently. Like that's why, like, you know, I would never tell anyone in my family ever to go like a 10-foot pole distance away from this type of movie. They would not like me anymore as a human being if they watch this because of me. But because of that, like, you know what, like yes, I agree, but at the same time I applaud them for the amount of gag shots they had in it, because what they did well in the first one was the layering of different shots to make you feel like it was more real. And I feel like the hacksaw scene from the original, they mixed, like, you know, it's coming close to her, and then like they cut to like a dummy shot where it's cutting in, and then cut to a real shot where they've taken the blade out, and then it's just around her, and then cut to a close-up of a dummy shot again, and then cut to a close-up of blood shot. But they do all these and layer them so it feels more real, whereas this one, like you said, they did the dummy thing, and I felt like the faces and the prosthetic, like the fake dummy faces they had for this one, was amazing. Like the face, they did a wicked cast, and it looked like them, and they just were like, destroy that fake head, and we're gonna film it, and they cut to it a lot.
I just, it was weirdly like, when I'm looking into it and I just see goo, it's like they took a fucking like a Twinkie with red stuff inside of it, and that was what they were using to, you know, chop it up. And I'm not like, this was my biggest issue, and it's not really, I thought this movie was dope. Don't get me wrong. I just was like, a couple times I'm like, and that's why I automatically went to the Japanese Splatterhouse type of stuff, because it's the type of stuff you watch it and it's just like, it's like gore on gore on gore, and you're like, it's the point where it's comical. It's never comical in this movie, but like, it's that thing where it's like over the top. They were really close, because they don't ever really stay on those shots for too long.
It's
but
the layer.
That first decapitation though, I'm like,
That was bad. Though, like of all of the death scenes or gag shots, that was by far the one that made me laugh for sure.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Well, there was one other one that I was like, I like kind of went while I'm watching it, but like, yeah, it's this thing is it. You and I think most people who are just giant horror fanatics are sitting there going, yeah, this is fucked up, but I've seen more fucked up, right? And I think that they're, I don't know, man. I think that Martyrs has,
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I'm not going to ruin anything, but it has stuff that makes me more uncomfortable.
I think I know where you're going with that. And that's the type of stuff like in horror that I'm just like, I don't want to watch it. Like, I don't want to watch that type of horror. It's like, it grosses me out too much.
Martyrs is a weird film, man. And it's not a film that I would go and go, yeah, let's show all your friends. Like, hey, you got a 6-year-old, go touch and watch Martyrs. But it is a film that, like, do you know the difference between, like, so this is how I'm going to compare it. Like, the first Terrifier had violence. The movie never felt like it never felt like it had a purpose besides being mean, right? Like, it was just, this is mean. This is like cruel. This is, and art in that film was mean and cruel. But like the whole problem, there was a thing that like I've heard enough people talk about in the original, the whole like mid-act to like, one, you see the fucking beginning, you see the end at the beginning of the film, and you see what happens, and two, they halfway through they kill all you killed the final, they pull a Psycho, right? They kill your final girl, they kill every other character you've been introduced to, and you never get anyone to attach to you. You never get anyone to like root for you. You never get anyone to like to feel like it is hopeless like mess of like to care about, right? And this film is the complete opposite, where you have this fucking dope ass character. I think that I don't know how.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Though, like the original one was just like, it was almost like a character piece to show how messed up he was. But I feel like it didn't follow a normal story arc. Yeah.
It was no story. It was like, here's a bunch of characters. Art's going to kill them in fucked up ways. And then, oh, we've gone through all the characters we gave, and here's some more. And it's like, I don't know. I think that the what's his name? Damien Leone, like kind of learned his lesson, I think. And I think he took the criticisms of the first one and really ran with it, right? He was like, okay, we need to have characters, we need to have a story, we need to have something. And he still fumbled the ball with story, especially things a little bit. Like the movie, one, it's either two things, right? One, they intentionally did this to set up another sequel, right? Like set up Terrifier 3.
Of course they did.
But what I'm saying though is like after the whole like this and that, or two, they cut out because the movie was already which I don't believe at all, at 2 hours and 19 minutes or whatever. And they like the credits are like 5 minutes long. So it's like 2 hours and 14 minutes. Like you sitting there going, they didn't cut anything. So it had to have been one that all the lower pieces and all the like the things that kind of set up for you in this one. I think they're kind of expecting a third one. And with how successful this has been, I think it crossed $7 million over this last weekend and made for $250,000. So it's like
the thing they did with this one was like trick you and the audience with like what's real, what's not. And it could do that for so much. And there's so much like lore and like who's their dad. And he was writing all these things and seeing all this like before it happened type stuff. And I like that they introduced the family that they did, because it ties them weirdly to art and gives it more of a meaning. And you root for the the final girl so much more. But then there's so much like, because art is, they're adding to his like, you know, horror tropes of being a slasher like guy. Like, what is Mike Myers? Why can he continue to live? And they add that like mystical element like crazy in this one. And it can go in so many weird science fiction / horror directions from here now because of the way the credits did their thing. And the fact that people die and come back to life and you don't know what's going on. And why are they seeing this character when no one else does? And, you know, there's like a whole bunch of rules that were like made and then I think broken. I would have to dive into this again, which is, it's a harder watch because of how crazy some of the scenes are. Like the mom scene, that one was like, that was gnarly, man. Like that's their equivalent scene to the split in half scene, I would assume, is the bedroom with.
I don't know. I think that the friend scene with the mom would probably. Oh, that's what okay.
Yeah, the one with the mom coming in and seeing.
When you said the mom, I was thinking you meant the other mom.
No.
No. And the mashed potatoes. Fuck that bitch,
kinda,
by the way.
Yeah, she. I honestly, the mom character in this movie was too convincing as that tone and stuff.
As a
I
cunt?
was like, she was really not pleasant, and she did it really well.
No, she was the like. It was weird, man. Like fucking Sienna, played by Lauren LaVera, I think is how you say her name, is fucking awesome. Like she by far so the best. Rad. She was like, she's so badass in this film. Her fucking armor is fucking so incredible that she makes her. She's like a cosplayer basically. And even her dorky little brother fucking kills it, man. And
that's what
it's
I said.
Like
the family is awesome, and introducing those two characters gave this whole movie like legs for days.
Yep.
And
that and the friends, right? They go the Halloween route, and it's her and her two friends go. It's very Halloween. They pulled things from Halloween. They pulled things from Nightmare on Elm Street. That was the Nightmare on Elm Street kind of stuff. I was like, this is odd, and but like, also the weird things with like they set up, they continue on really well from the first one. It almost feels like they start off exactly where the first one ended, right? But they never really like explain where Art was for the last year, right? Because it's like Art gets killed at the end of the first one. He wakes up in the morgue, and then like oh shit. And then the thing that happens right before this film is the TV interview, which was the woman getting her face gnawed off by the final girl from the first one. But like you go, what was Art doing for that? You know, the whole year. I did really, really like how they kind of they explained Art getting back to normal looking. Which is a weird thing to say for Art because Art doesn't look normal. But I'm excited, and I hope that Damien
he's
has
so messed up. Oh, that's the wrong button. There we go.
Yeah.
Hey.
He's so messed up, but like where I'm excited to see where they kind of like answer the questions they left in this one, right? Like let's compare this. So basically, we can call this a trilogy if they do another one. And this was the Empire Strikes Back, man. This is the one that everyone's like, oh my God. And
but he's been in other movies before Terrifier 1. That's like the thing, right?
Yeah, it was a All Hallows Eve or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But like he wasn't like, I think he was more like, wasn't he more like Sam from Trick or Treat kind of like thing where he's like a curator of the content or whatever?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I just I saw his face on a different movie that wasn't Terrifier, and I was like, wait a second, what? But that's kind of cool, like, because
that was where he was introduced, yeah.
Yeah, so like he's introduced, and because he was so iconic looking, it's like all the characters that get introduced in like the like Conjuring universe and stuff, they always get a spin-off because it's just a vessel for more movies and more original properties.
Yeah. You see they've officially or they're doing The Conjuring 4. So
Of
hopefully
course. It's a moneymaker.
That, and they're doing the Friday the 13th prequel series on Peacock for A24.
So who owns the rights? Is it finished?
It's split up. It's split up, so they can't.
Someone owns the mask and someone doesn't, type thing.
Yeah, so they can't use adult Jason in the series, and they can't use the mask. So, it's A24 is doing it. So I mean, who knows? I don't know. I hope it's cool. Like,
so is he just gonna hold on to it and not do anything with adult Jason with a mask? Like, or is
no, because that's the asshole of the two of them. It's Sean Cunningham owns the mask in the like adult Jason.
I thought Sean was the one that didn't care about the mask.
No, he's the one who hates the mask, but he owns it because it was like when he was doing everything. So the original writer of the first one got the other stuff, like the names and like all that stuff. So I don't know.
Oh, so he owns a mask and not the name Jason.
I think so.
It makes zero sense, man.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, Damien's got this is like the ultimate success, right? Like, because it's funny, like seeing how much attention Terrifier 2's gotten after like that first one was like a snuff film, kind of like people like, hey, you want the good shit? You want the really nasty, gross shit? Go check out Terrifier. It's on like Amazon. But if you're saying you're not gonna watch this shit, go watch it. And it's crazy. Like, dude, we keep talking about it, right? And it's like how much it seems like COVID had a lot to do with these movies, because small crews, small budgets, all this stuff, like lower risk, and because of it, we got some fucking awesome movies this year. It's been I don't know the last movie the year that compares for like horror like to this year, and this is one of those films that really is like, yeah, I'm like happy and made. There's still more that I want to see, right? Like, I was watching Chris Stuckman's interview or review today for The Menu, and
it looks terrible.
He said it was awesome, man. He said it was awesome.
Oh,
it's
is
like
that
satire.
The one with what's her name in it?
Ralph Fiennes and Anna Taylor-Joy.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. It looks.
I believe Stuckman, man. That guy is.
I always have. That, like, honestly, when I was a YouTube reviewer, I looked up to him. He's like he's where anyone that has ever done a review on YouTube, he's the top. He's right there.
Yeah.
He's the fucking Ebert and or Roger Ebert, like.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not like
of YouTube.
Jeremy Nolan or Jeremy. What the fuck is that other guy's name that does? He's pretty high up there, but like, yeah, Stuckman's just like
Stuckman's the standard. Like, he's
the gold standard. Yeah,
yeah, like
he is. So yeah, I'm looking for that. But like, this is
I'm looking forward to seeing his movie that he's been producing and directing.
Yeah, he's editing it now, so I don't. It must be coming out next year. So it's all shot.
Everyone can shit on his.
It's funny because he stopped doing. He when he started, right before he started doing that, he's like, I'm not doing any. Like, he's basically said he's never doing anything where he like shits over a movie over again. Like, he's just only talking about things. It was just kind of like our philosophy, right? You have to be real like gross for us to be like, yeah. You have to be sharks to the corn.
And it's like, it's not even, I've told the story of how mortified I was because like I used to shit on bigger movies, like studio movies, because there was like a safety net for me or something. Like I was like, they're not real people or whatever, right?
Yeah.
For some reason. And then I went into that one indie movie that I saw at like Calgary Underground or Calgary International Film Festival. And I didn't realize with like great power comes great responsibility. With like a movie that size, I didn't realize what I was doing, and the audience that would potentially see a movie of that size would come to see if anyone has talked about it, and I was the only one, and I didn't realize that at the time, and I was like, fuck, I feel dirty, and like I didn't even shit that hard, but the fact that there was any type of shit was not
it's like
the right
if
thing
there's
to
ever
do.
if there's any issues with our podcast, like anything, like or my stream, or you know how it is, like you take it way harder than anyone else does, right? Like if you're like watching someone's like YouTube video and like they have an audio hiccup or something, you're like, oh, that sucks for them, but like you know that they were like, this is the worst thing that happened. Oh my god, because you feel so like bad about that shit, and it's just like and we both know. I mean, you know way more than I do how hard it is to make a movie, and it's just like you don't want to do that, man. I mean,
no.
Also, I saw his name. Where the fuck was Chris Jericho in this goddamn movie? He was
in the credits.
Oh, I didn't see. I don't think I sat through the credits because,
dude,
I was
that's
messaging
how it sets it up for a third movie.
I didn't see it because
dude,
you know what? So I was messaging you. I was watching him, and I was having issues with watching it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but you know,
you tell me after the spoiler.
Less blue behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the light was that I was telling you about, that I was unplugging. That's also where a computer with a whole bunch of hard drives is. And I was like, wait a second, the monitor isn't working anymore. I wonder if I unplugged anything else. And yep. Whoops.
Yeah. No, I like we'll talk about it when we're doing spoilers. It's fine. But yeah, dude. So like,
I'll spoil it for you.
Yeah, you better spoil it. Spoil my good daddy. Oh, you got called Tattoo Daddy in my stream today. So
what?
By Zoe. You got called Tattoo Daddy in stream today by Zoe. So
I don't know who that is.
Zoe's her name's Fohammer in my chat, but
I came in like because you were streaming and I was like, oh shit, I don't know what time did we never say a fucking word anyways.
We're
so
bad.
I didn't know, but I came down and was getting stuff ready, which was good. But I had also because it's snowing in Calgary right now and it wasn't yesterday, so we got the Halloween night, like the perfect Halloween night. It was a little cooler. The fog stayed longer because of the coolness, but it didn't snow until 10 o'clock this morning. So last night, after the trick-or-treaters were done, my sister helped me throw everything under the covered part of my patio so I could go to work today and it wouldn't get all snowed on. So I had everything just tossed down here, and then I was going to do the podcast. But when you said, oh, we'll do it at 7, I was like, oh, sick. So I got everything into the closet because it was a pile of this is the only thing left, and I forgot that she was here, and the closet is now fucking full, and she's not in it. Fuck.
Fuck, man. I've never I want. That's why I pointed it out though. First, I like talking about little issues I have with a film like this right away, because the bodies that I was talking about earlier isn't a big deal. I just want to I want to be honest about the little things, because otherwise man, this film is a ride and a half, and it's not perfect, but it is a fucking good time, man. David Howard Thornton is a fucking badass, man. The man, he plays Art the Clown, and he does so. I mean, you get all these guys who are stunt actors, right? Who to play these the slashers, right? And he does, I think, man, I think the only one you would even be able to be comparable
Freddy.
to is probably Freddy. Yeah, it's
he's
Freddy,
bringing an actual character that I feel especially more in this one, that is solidifying him as Art now. Robert Englund has the isms down, and no one can do that creepy and the funny and whatever. It is Robert Englund. He understands the character of Freddy because he created them. Art has this thing now where he is presenting his work now, and that's like they set up every kill as like the before, and that's part of the art of it. Then it's the destruction and what it does with the blood, whatever. But then he's presenting it and like doing the funny, like, isn't this hilarious? Like thing, and like that's now the art of art. The clown.
The fucking scene, and we're not again no spoilers, where he's reading the newspaper and just like laughing at some horrible thing in the newspaper. It's just like, oh my god. And like it's how his reaction, and then how he reacts with the other character that's similar to him is always like, dude. And we'll get into that when we're getting into spoilers. That character's introduction was the grossest thing in this entire film.
Yes.
Like I don't even think it was fucking character.
And I was eating pizza, like I was finishing my dinner. I started it eating pizza, and then that scene came on, and I was like, "Oh, I'm done."
I think that was one of the things Chris Stuckman said about this film. He's like, I tried to eat something. He said he's like not been able to eat during a film twice, and this is one of the times. And I always talk about my most fucking notorious thing with that was like my wife and I we're like sitting down to eat chicken Alfredo for dinner, and like
why does it always have to be? It's like it's the milk based things. You can't eat that if you're watching fucking horror. Like no way.
We weren't watching horror. We were watching NCIS, and like they
still
the dead bodies, and they like they were at a mausoleum, you know. And
I've
like
seen
the
grosser
fucking
shit in NC, like in that and like, whatever that other one is,
CSI
like,
and stuff like
CSI, like they show fucking a lot of gore in those shows.
So basically, they fucking like had the front of a like a thing come off, and like this white goo is pouring out, like the same colors that chicken Alfredo.
No.
And this movie, if you're going in for just pure a ride, man, this is a ride. This is like horror I mean, which is why the whole like the final act taking place in a fucked up carnival called the Terrifier. I mean, and then the roller coaster or whatever.
This is what, like that's the thing too, though, like because they introduce all these things as like things that they're seeing in dreams and things that they're like imagining, and then all of a sudden that whole place and the people are real somehow, or are they? What is like? It was very confusing, like rule wise, what was real, what was not, and you know, like where are we type thing with this.
The problem is, and that's why I was talking about it. They set up like that they're going to answer all these things in this film, and don't answer any of them really. They set up that like there are answers.
I can't believe you didn't see the fucking credit scene. It's 5 minutes, by the way. Like you said, the credits are 5 minutes. There's a credit scene that lasts 5 minutes, dude. Setting it up for a third movie.
I had a 2-hour film that took me 4 hours to watch, Josh.
You should have restarted your TV.
4 hours. I was like, I'm going to bed. I am tired. And that was the most exhausting movie watching because it kept like.
No wonder you had gripes with the movie.
Yeah. No, I don't. Like, I thought, dude, I'm saying everything good about this film. I was saying, I got my gripes out like first thing, man. And I told you that. I like to do that because then I get to just talk happy about the movie for the next, hour on this podcast. I think, like I said, like, I wonder though, is Sienna's mom, like, was she a bad actress, or was she just so over, like, she played was she bad, or was she just too good at being a cunt?
There was some scenes where she was really not the greatest actor.
Yeah.
But like when it came to like, you get back here, it was like so bang on, and it was too good, and I was like, ew, like I don't like you. Like I would hate to have you as a mom because you're But I love how that scene, well, you know, like it almost sets it up though, because like they've lost their dad, and you know she's been like having to deal with these kids that are like probably problem children now as it's like being you know, set up. But that scene where she's out and she like her mom calls and she's like, oh my God, and like disarms her with like, you know what, no, I love you, and I don't say it enough, and she went from like to like, oh fuck, and then it's like, man, I am way too hard on you, and that was really nice of you to, you know what, like I'm sorry I bothered you, instead of like, it's all your fault. So right? Like
it might have been the characters written kind of badly, maybe I don't know, because
it was over the top. Like it was definitely over the top, like acting wise, and like it was laid on thick. And I think I don't know, like the fact that we both felt the exact same like level of like cringy hatred towards that character. I think that's exactly what they were going for. That's exactly what they accomplished, but it did come across like kind of B movie, which this is B movie, so I don't know. I think it's it is what it is.
Well, I mean, then you see that last scene with the mother towards the end of the movie is like, oh, okay, like there's like, you know, there's a reasonable thing here and whatnot. I generally like the kills in this movie were wonderful. Like the whole fucking like
wonderful.
I mean, wonderfully executed is what I mean. Like they're like done really well. The whole dream sequence with the flamethrower and the is just like, why does Art have a Tommy gun? Who knows?
I know. Like, but like of any movie where there's like a machine gun, like I've never seen a movie do that much like brutality of like people getting like bullets and like the amount of blood that happens and stuff. Like this movie showed the carnage of a gun, because they introduced a gun as a weapon in a slasher film in the first one, and I liked that him as a slasher killer guy is okay with using a gun as one of the weapons, because you never, it's like one of those tropes that is like, no, they only use like knives and other things, they'll never use a gun, and Art will use it, and they used it like crazy in this one.
Hence my long running thing where I've been mocked by friends. Classy Katie, Zeke's lady, gives me shit because I tell her Terminator is a slasher, because Terminator is a slasher. Just uses guns for the Maniac is another one. Maniac Cop uses a gun the whole time as a slasher. Right. It's not the norm, but that doesn't mean it doesn't fucking qualify, right?
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, he does a lot, and dude, I want to know how much that fucking trash. What kind of trash bags is that motherfucker finding? Like he's got like 50 pounds of
hefty bags.
they're like the industrial hefty bags, because it's just covered, like filled with wrenches and like saws and like, dude.
I love those scenes though. Like they set it up, and the way they like ramp up these scenes, and then it's the presented thing. Like everyone is always so like, fuck you, man, get out of here, I'm a tough guy. Oh shit, no I'm not. Woo!
Dude, Art trying to pay for his horn made me laugh my ass off.
That was such a good scene. The whole, like everything about that was
that
so
whole build up, like it was like from her reactions to like everything else, and it was just like, this is
but that's
like,
showing more of Art the character when he's like and like he's doing so much without saying anything, and it's giving him more of a personality, and you're getting to know him a little bit better, and like it's that weird like comedy, like dark comedy, because he is a clown. He's being a clown, and not just like, it's more, I don't know, more dynamic.
He's a mime. he's like a mime clown too. Like he's not a talking clown. He just like expresses like with his face, which is why David Howard Thornton does such a good job, is because like he's like doing all this expression, and it's like
but they gave him the hook nose even too, like the Freddy hook nose.
And one of the things though too that's really, he does a really good job of like that, his mouth looks like it's like a prosthetic half the movie because it's fake teeth, right? But like he does that same look on his face, so like his mouth, like, and just keeps it and holds it. Like you forget when he opens up his mouth that is like his mouth can open, right? Because he's like, it looks so like it's always locked in that.
Yeah.
Like so well, right? And with that black around his lips, you can't see detail. And it's just like, man, he fucking like does a really good job with that. And like, dude, it's even like the little brother, man, like Elliot Fullman does Jonathan. That kid kills it as like, he's not perfect, right? But like, he's like a 12-year-old in the film, so he's probably 12 or 13 playing the character. And he just does a really good job of playing that like traumatized youth who has some dark thoughts, but he has dark thoughts because of everything he's gone through, right? Like you get introduced to him and what he's going through, and what Sienna and him are both going through. It's just like, okay, this kid is doing a good job. And then it's like they do that thing where he's like, you could see how being a 12-year-old going through all this, what kind of world he's in, right? And he does that in like these limited amount of scenes by himself. So I thought he did a good job. I just think most of the people did very good jobs. Like both her friends,
like all her friends that were introduced to, like they got, I don't know, like you said in the first one, they were just characters, and they just got drunk and stumbled down an alley, and then they're just the people that are, that this is going to happen to you now because you were here type thing. And this one, it had more reason, and then because there was a main character, everyone that's tied to her had more of a reason to be there as well. So it ended up working out so much better. It's
very much like following the Jamie Lee Curtis Final Girl kind of
exactly
like scope, which is kind of, I think that they needed to do something like that, because if they would have just made this another like hour and a half like gore fest with no like real reason to be there, you could have killed the character. Because
but like
a lot of people,
every death scene was set up like very meticulously too, to like have it live as its own like short film almost. Like this death scene is intricate. It's the art of Terrifier movies, and it also shows you what happens that these films like that they're going to get released. This has been in theaters unrated, right? So they didn't have some come in and like just like, no, you can't do this, because no one gave. This is just, it's why like it has that feeling of things like Hatchet, right? Things that went direct to DVD weren't being played or Japanese,
in theaters.
like you said. Like it's very like gore police, or like super bloody, super gory, and you don't see that in movies that have an R. It's like you get like there is a scene with a penis being pulled off, which they don't show much I was
of
like,
it.
Wait, this guy's gonna get his dick chopped off, and then he did, and I was like, that was like a high five moment to the audience.
I was sitting there going, how is there any of it left though? Like after like he's just going with like a fucking like kitchen knife. Also, I don't know why I felt like I was like, don't give Art a kitchen knife. I was like that just I was like
it's too Mike Myers.
Yeah, it's too Mike Myers. It's too like it. I was like, it doesn't.
But that's the thing with Art. He kills with everything. It's not just that. Like it's never the same thing twice. So,
dude, he was using the fucking thing from the first one though. He was using the chain with the scalpel and the scissors and all that shit that he had used at like in the first movie. Like he was using that. That's what he was going after. Sienna and her brother with at the end of the film.
But like you said, I like that they show him and getting cleaned up and like mopping up his own blood, and then it's like, wait a second, where's the rest of that mop handle? Oh, there it is. Like weapon of opportunity again with him, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I thought it was a blast. That's why I just said the couple of things about the gore being like splatter films from Japan. Like that's what it reminded me of. Like it's not a big deal. It's just like when you cut off someone's head and there's just like Jello in there and no like fucking
see it
spine.
Worked with like that animal, whatever it was. The
raccoon.
What animal was it?
Or it was a possum. It was a possum.
Yeah, the possum. Like it's just goopy, gooey. Like whatever. But like it worked, and the amount of sound effects and how loud they were in the mix and stuff. It was just it's a gross out factor, and like it's not to be. They're not fucking Greg Nicotero and adding in the muscle and all the bones before and.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing I would say. It just like it kind of pulls me out a little bit because I'm not as you and I aren't as shocked by that, right? We're like
yeah, but I think it's supposed to be more like fantasy.
Yeah.
Than like
and it
with
gets
a budget of $250,000.
Yeah.
Like you're spending probably like half of it on all of the special effects and then the rest on just getting
actors,
everything else. So and there was a lot of really well done sets. How much are those, right? Like that one set and like all the party sets for like the commercials for those like the cereal and all that stuff. Like they were like intricate and well put together. So
the party was a good set. The fucking the weird, like you were talking about the stuff, the witch behind you, like that fucking thing that scared everyone that ran past it in the funhouse at the end or whatever the fuck it was, like the Terrifier.
The
was
huge
like
thing.
Huge, it was like a rat, like it kind of reminded me of the rat from Dead Alive, Brain Dead, because it was huge and weird and also the I swear to God, it like Art was here and shit on the wall, like it looked like in that scene, but also. I loved his fucking table leg weapon. That was fucking dope, man. He was like,
it's on the poster.
Yeah. I mean, it's dope. It's. I don't know how he got a fork through it, but
he's art. It's art.
Yeah. Okay, go watch this if you want. I mean, you're listening to this and you haven't seen it. Go watch this. We're gonna spoil some shit. Because there's just
spoiler alert.
We just want to. There are specifics I want to talk about without spoiling, and we did little spoilers throughout that, but like I think we maintained like overall like pretty good with that. So
we're pretty good.
We're gonna dive
spoiling.
In. Yep. Okay. I would say this movie opens up with him already have fucked up I don't know, he was a security guard, what he was. I was really entertained by the opening up of like him pulling this motherfucker's eyeball out and like recovering, because if you haven't, I mean, if you've seen the Terrifier 2, you probably see Terrifier 1, but I don't think that's the case. I don't think $7 million worth of people have watched Terrifier 1. But he gets real fucked up. I mean, he ends up in the movie, like at the very end of the movie, he ends up in the morgue with like getting shot through the eyeball and stuff like that. And he fixes himself like by like pulling body parts out and brain. It looks like he like pulls the brain out and like puts in the back of his head or something like that.
But that's where like they set it up early that he's like indestructible. Like,
I mean, they set that up in the first one. They set that up when he got up on the table at the very end of the movie. That's really where they set it up, right?
That's more like, that's just straight up like Mike Myers trope, whatever. But like Mike Myers, you'd never see like brain and an eyeball come out. Like you've seen him like get fingers cut off and stabbed a bunch of times, but like if you're like superhuman, that's easy stuff, whatever.
It's more like Jason. It's like Jason.
Yeah.
Where Jason's like being shot and stabbed and And dude, I love after he kills this guy and he's trying to kill the cops, and he's wanders into the laundromat and is just sitting there naked. Yeah, and that's what I was going. He opens the paper and he's like, it's like some horrible thing, and he's just like, okay.
You didn't play patty cake with me, Rod.
I know. Sorry. Patty cake, man. Oh, wrong way.
What? There we go.
It reminds me of Bob's Burgers where they go to like the patty cake thing, but that little girl
I
fucking
don't know what
pops
you're talking about.
Pops on the screen and has that like the black goo coming out of her like vagina region, and it's just like splutters and like the splatters, and you're just like, it's just like that scene made me cringe more than anything else in this movie because it was very like little girl, and she's one of those things. She's one of the biggest mysteries in this whole movie, right? Like she got killed by Art. It seems like, or got killed. They don't go into it, right? Like, did she get killed in the same thing that made Art, or was she Art's first kill? Like, you don't really know. The other thing I was wondering during the film, and I don't know your opinion on this, Josh. I at one point I wondered if they were trying to make it that the little brother was going to be like Art was trying to recruit him. You know what I mean? Like Art was like going to recruit this kid because he's like dark and he's like, he wanted to dress up like him and he wanted to like, I wondered if that was like the whole thing where he's like slapping him awake, towards the end. Like he was like trying to.
But the thing with the girl too, like only these main characters can see her and no one else. Like that's the thing that there's a whole bunch of rules that I'm like, I don't know what the rules are. Like, what is this?
And a magical sword that like brings her back to life
by the power of Grayskull. Like
they say that made me laugh too. When the sword like lit up, I was like, guys, maybe you need to do that. But
I don't know. Like it adds like they go full like mystical and like it's like I don't know.
With no answers. They set up the dad had some connection to this, like and his connection gave him a brain tumor and killed him basically. And he had all these visions of everything.
Or didn't kill him and then he turned into Art and now the brain tumor took over.
Maybe. Yeah.
We don't know. No answers means more possibilities.
Yeah. I had thought of that one also, like if that was like a thing like that hurt their dad and them setting that up in the third one. Yeah, when we get to the end you could tell me the credit scene because I was like I said all the issues I was having. But then they do a good job of like they establishing the kids and the family, and she's like this like really talented her fucking costume was dope, man.
She was like fucking rad.
Yeah, Sienna's fucking dope, man. She fucking did such a good job. We talked about the mom being a fucking giant cunt and no one really liking her.
Did we?
Yeah, we did. We did. And yeah, her friends, like her friend getting killed, it was one of her mom coming up those stairs and you're like you feel so bad for her and you feel so bad because what was there, and it was a little that was a little B movie too, and like she was still alive even though like
but it's to lay it on thicker and say the word that just destroyed the whole audience that saw it in theaters. As soon as you hear mom, it's just like no.
Yeah. And then that was pretty brutal though. I mean, like her face is half off, like her leg is gone. Like I feel like they split her arm to kind of like like an ode to the first one a little bit.
Yes, there was a split.
Yeah.
I was like, how does he keep splitting things? Like, I don't like that was like everything else in that scene. I was like, oh my God, this is like they ramped up the brutalness. Yeah. And this is the brutal scene, I'm assuming. And then they did the split, and I was like, wait a second, how does he do that? Like,
well, the thing I kept wondering was like, at sometimes Art is like super, super, super strong, but then other times he's not. Like, he's like hitting her and the brother, and they're like just scratches on him and stuff like that.
That's the whole like the
plot armor
trope. It's the trope.
Yeah, it's like plot armor. Yeah.
Like
I don't mind.
Cut to
I'm
her
not
arm
complaining.
and it's just like a slice, whereas everyone else's like arm gets busted off.
Well, the one friend who got killed in the amusement park, like, got this like tiny gash across her belly and is like is in the most pain that's ever happened, or across the leg.
She was acting like crazy. Like everyone else was like kind of here. Well, I don't know, that bedroom scene where the mom comes in, she was acting like it was hurting, but like not to the level of the other friend. She was like, I get to act.
You tearing me apart, Lisa.
It was so funny, like on Halloween when kids would come up. I love the commentary because they're like, wait a second, that one's real, I can see his eyes. And then it's like other kids would be like, oh, I hope nothing pops out, and I would be like, pop out and say the word they said. You got to go with, whatever, right? And I felt like this movie, the second acting friend, she was acting.
Dude, I feel like this film, and because of like the legend, this is going to be in like 10 years. They're going to be like younger horror people's, like in their 20s specifically, and maybe like late teens, who either are obsessed with horror or won't watch anything, and it's going to link back to this film directly. And because like this is the type of movie that like you see when you're young and you're like, I shouldn't have seen that, but I'm in love.
If I saw this when I was young, I don't know, man. Like, because I saw it when I was young, and
that was a TV movie.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I was like in ECS when I saw that, so it's like I was too young, but it still wasn't anything in comparison. It's
funny, I messaged Jerry about it, and he was like, nah, man, fuck clowns. Jerry doesn't want to watch these films because of that. So it's like,
because of it?
No, just because of clowns. He fucking hates clowns in general. So I don't know why
he fuck him up. Then.
Yeah. Katie, again, like the one who gives me shit about Terminator, hates clowns too. Not the type of film if you hate clowns to watch, right? So
he's like, he took that like phobia and was like, I'm going to be the king of that phobia.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know, man. I still have a hard time. Like, I still think, for me as like perspective, that Pennywise is the most horrifying, and it like that fucking.
I don't think so, man.
And for me, he is like because it's that like that fucking scene with Georgie will forever be like haunting to me. Yeah, and even though I read the book and all that, but then like that and the scene with Skarsgård like holding the fucking arm and like waving with it is just so fucking good, and it's just like hi, and it's just I don't know, Pennywise holds a special place in my heart, Josh. So it's like
I feel, dude, like it's not indie, so they didn't go crazy. But it is really well done. Like that movie is just it's so well done that I'll always love the remake. The second one I really didn't like because they had too much money and they spent it in the wrong places.
Never watched it again, and I don't care. It's like a one-time watch. Yeah,
I hate that though.
Yeah,
and I saw that one in 4DX by accident, and it was just brutal.
With like the vibrating and all that stuff, and
that's where the whole row of seats moves, as well as the seats, and there's fog and wind and scents and spritzes of water and like strobe lights and shit.
I've never done any of that shit. Yeah,
I was like,
too much.
Like at the beginning of the movie when the only cool part of it at the beginning of the movie when you're like flying into the carnival, I was like, they put the wind on and then the seats and everything, and it felt like we were actually like kind of floating around with the camera. And then they put a scent in that smelled like hot dogs. Like I looked around, no one in the theater just walked in with a hot dog. I was like, holy fuck, it smells like hot dogs because we're at a carnival. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. That was immersive. Everything else took me out of the movie because I was like, why am I like worrying about like a strobe of light here? Now I'm not worried about the movie, and I'm taken right out of the movie because of a stupid strobe light. Like, this is dumb.
Yeah. So the I want to. What do you think? And this because we kept talking about it. They set up all these things with like rules, right? Like it was very Freddy Krueger. Like she like has these dreams that like come into her room,
totally,
and they don't like they set her room on fire, and it kind of is like the first domino to fall over that sets up like the whole story, right? So
that's
I'm
why
not
there's fire on the poster.
Yeah, and I'm not completely sure like how that is, and I do hope like that they. I mean, I don't know how they don't make a third one now, right? And I'm wondering what kind of budget they're gonna give him, and I could see them giving him like I don't know like 10 million to do something like this if they know. Probably not. They'll probably give him a couple million though. If it
goes over to the Blumhouse model, it would be like a $9 million budget because that's the budget that he gives most people to do a movie.
Yeah.
The fact that these movies were successfully made for $250,000 and not even $250,000 $9 is like, that's crazy to think about.
Dude, it's so like you watch this and you're like, how much did they what? Like the scale and everything and like all the sets and everything they said, it's like crazy they pulled it all off.
But then if you start getting budgets, that means you're going to be under a different banner. And does that mean you have to make it R-rated, and then it's not going to be a straight-up Terrifier movie anymore? Because the fact that it's just bloody disgusting, and it's like all underground just from the websites that have all the fans and everything, like it's enough now. Like these are like the houses that we all live in online. So
well, I'm not saying like that's why I pulled it back. I was like, I don't think they would ever do like, but you give them $2 million, like. Or even $1 million, you're 4 times the budget, right?
Yeah.
You go $1 million and you go, what can they do? Because I think the first one didn't even have $250,000.
Well, that's why it felt like that though. Like it felt, but it went in that because it was an experiment.
That was Grindhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, and whereas this one was like, no, we have a real movie now, and then because it was like it came almost out of nowhere as like an actual real movie. That's why all the people that were seeing it and were actual reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes were like, this is fucking great, like 100%.
Yeah.
And now it's down to like 86 or something, but it's still like it's staying there. It's certified fresh. This movie's killed it. It's the new franchise of horror.
I saw on TikTok like you have people like the morning shows on like TV talking about it, Howard Stern talking about it, like they got talked about all over the place, and it's just like word of mouth is going to buzz like around, like especially all the horror, like I mean all us horror people knew that this was coming out, but like we didn't know it was going to do as well as it did, and it was supposed to be a 1 weekend engagement, and it was like it made like $800,000, and then it was like 2 weekends, and then it made like up to $5 million, and then like this last one is like up to like $7 million. So it's made a shit ton of money, just like pure profit after that first weekend. So like, I don't know, man.
I can't wait to watch Smile again, to be honest. Like, I really enjoyed that movie, and anyone that didn't, I understand. Yes, it was a ripoff of a bunch of other movies, but I really just enjoyed it and can't wait to own it and watch it again.
I'm so pissed that they're not doing a physical media version of Barbarian, and
they're
especially with how especially with how fucking HBO Max and all that shit is being run right now. It's like a horrifying thought that like that. Yeah, it's just they're not doing physical media for it, and it's just like
that movie could like benefit from a physical media thing though.
Yep.
Like. Maybe like a shorter run, but just make it like limited edition and make it a better poster on the front and like collectible. Like there's an audience for that, especially in the horror. Like that's where like Warner Brothers, HBO, like they don't know they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I don't think it's real. You and I both know it, but like. There are plenty of horror people that like have 7 copies of Friday the 13th because of Steelbook and this alternative cover, and like, dude, I gave bringing up Katie again. I gave her my first the box set 8 collection of the first Friday films because I got the whole big Scream the big box set, right? Like we will buy shit more than once. I have how many copies of Halloween around this house? Like
I've bought
yeah.
I have the whole Nightmare set on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray.
Yep.
Because I've watched them on all of those different things. And
I think
same with Evil Dead, right? Like 1 and 2 and
I think it did that with Alien. I had like Alien, all the Alien movies on VHS and then DVD and now Blu-ray and so
you saw the retweet of that I put for the first look at Evil Dead Rise, right?
Yep. I saw that. Yep.
That looks awesome. Like,
yeah, I'm very excited. It looks very much like the Evil Dead from 2013 or whatever.
I'm
Give me
stoked.
those vibes.
Like they're making it like creepy looking and like I'm that makes me excited instantly.
Okay. Just go over a couple more things and then I want you to give me the recap of what like the post credits because again all the problems. I love the magic store scene. I love Art sitting there fucking with her and like playing with the fucking horn and like blowing that thing and then
I forgot my bag downstairs. There it is.
Yeah, I love that. That scene was wonderful. Dude, I would fucking kill her friend. Her friend gives her Molly without saying something to her. Fucking don't do that, kids. Bad. Don't do that.
Well, that's the thing that a lot of movies have been getting like right. Like the really shitty other person, like they're just such shitty people. Like their morals are just not aligned with
reality.
They just don't have any. They don't have good morals.
Yeah. But that scene was cool, and then until she like loses her mind, and I think that the most slasher thing in this whole film might have been like her and that guy her friend trying to fuck in the car, like while everything is happening, and like it's just like, oh man, this is the most slasher thing ever. And
with his head, that's why he got it cut off.
His penis head. I mean, he didn't get it cut off. He got it pulled off, man. He pulled it off like a fucking, you know when you get like a Laffy Taffy and you're like pulling the end off the Laffy Taffy? That's basically what it was. And then he's like writing on her window with a fucking cock. He's like, and just like, he's like
making art.
Yeah. Art from art. Art from art. Okay. There's a couple of things. So the ending of this movie is batshit crazy. And I'm interested in where they go with this. So the sword, Art must have taken the sword when he killed the mother, the sword that she had that was like indestructible.
No, he took it when he kidnapped the son.
Yeah, I mean,
because he was going for it. And then he got him with the needle, and then went and picked up the knife.
I didn't. I don't think I realized he picked it up. So, and the sword Art kills her, Sienna, and throws her into this pit from hell. I don't know what the fuck it is. And somehow she's like in the dream that set her room on fire. And you're like, okay. And then like the sword brings her back to life. So she's like the badass character that her dad had described and drawn. And like she's like a Valkyrie kind of, right? Like it's a Valkyrie from like, you know, like something out of like the old like Greek mythology, right?
That's what definitely what they were like hinting towards was that he goes back and like he's getting his powers from like the same type of place where that type of stuff would. So it's like they're lending itself to that. So it's like you've believed this shit. So now you have to believe all of this shit.
Yeah. Well, that whole scene with her coming back is cool, but like him stabbing her through the gut, and it's just like how those two interacted with each other was so good. And I'm really looking forward to how they set up Sienna in like this really getting rid of Art for good in the sequel. Another rule thing that was they're sitting there talking to their mom who's been dead for hours. Like I want to know what the dad, like, if he is Art. I want to know is like, who's the little girl, and why does she have the side ponytail of like the Napoleon Dynamite's friend, and why does she have black goo coming out of her butt or wherever it's coming from? Like, well, there's a lot of questions. That little girl playing that clown did a really good job, though. Like, she did a really good job of being creepy and being that it gave Art another character to be creepy off of in a fun way. You saw right?
her. Oh yeah. Like, I don't know. She killed it. That's it.
Yeah. It's just all like no talking, and she just did that and like did a really good job of it. So I bet by what do you think, 2024 the sequel will be out?
Yep, I would assume I
bet.
So.
Yeah. Because the other thing too, though, like, this got crowdfunded, right? So like, maybe he doesn't want to do it with the studio. Maybe he just wants to crowdfund another one, because it's way easier for him financially, right? Like, he made how much money doing this? Like, a shit, and he's gonna make this movie's gonna fucking clean up on digital. It's gonna clean up because this is gonna be like the mythical, like the people who didn't get to see it in theaters, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. I bet we have a sequel by 2024, but I don't know. It like, this has made enough money and it's done a really, dude, all the horrors, like, I think the only fucking horror movie I've seen flop like that I can remember is that shitty vampire movie, The Invitation.
But honestly, I feel like this is a unicorn year, though, because because of the circumstances of 2020 and all the different people that even like normally wouldn't be in the horror world were like, oh, this is the perfect time for me to do this. And we had so much, I think, the general audience, or just audiences abroad, like everywhere, were already like primed in the horror world this year. We've had like new horror properties every week almost this month, or legitimately this month, or last month rather, because we're in November now. It was every week we were getting a new horror property. And this year alone, some of the best horror movies I've seen in years came out back to back on weeks and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? So the fact that something this good came out and was received this well, almost now in hindsight doesn't even surprise me, because of just what it's like. Everyone and everything is one-upping one another. And like, this year is going to go down in history, I think, as like one of the better horror years in like ever. What I hope happens is that encourages more studio funded, smaller budget, like $10 million horror movies. That's all we need, man. We don't need $100 million. Has shown that it is a model that should be like, that's why we don't see the bigger movies as much anymore, because throwing $80 million at a horror movie doesn't make any fucking sense. But throwing $9 million to make something, well, it just shows that we can, right? But all right, I'm gonna tell you about the end credits.
Tell me about it.
It's where Jericho is. It goes to the hospital, and he's like a front desk person with somebody else, and he's like, oh yeah, my wife made this platter for us, and it's like a Jell-O platter of like brains and eyeballs and stuff. And he tells the like nurse lady, like, oh yeah, make me up a plate, make it extra goopy, more eyeballs and stuff. And the lady from the beginning with the messed up face is in one of the rooms, and the nurse is like complaining about having to like deal with the ugly face and just being a terrible person, like everyone is towards her. And then more blood from vagina areas is happening in the room, and she's just like all over the place with it and just like spewing blood everywhere. And she starts writing on the wall with her own blood art or whatever, and then she gives birth to Art's head with like an umbilical cord attached to the neck, and he's alive and smiling, his head.
Oh yeah, I missed that for sure. Yeah.
So Art's back.
Yeah,
in head
and we knew he was gonna be back. Like it was,
but like, how did he impregnate her?
Yeah. None of it, dude. It's all like mythos at this point, right?
I know, but like then it just goes totally left field at the end, and that's what we get. So Art's back.
Yeah.
And,
well, it's you watch the first one, and he's almost like Michael Myers for most of it, right? He doesn't like have anything too horrible happen to him, and then he gets like fucked up and shot in the head and stuff, and he comes back, and you're like, okay, he's like. He's not a normal human being, you know?
Oh, look at that.
The Gizmos came. I was like, okay, Gizmo, you could come and show up on the end of the podcast. You could, if you've heard
for the views,
for the Gizmo views. So, yeah, this movie's a ride, and it's like. I think the sadness was more metal than this movie, but like this movie is pretty fucking metal, right? Like
whereas this one has fun with gore and setting up for the next gore scene. Whereas the sadness, like I said, that is the most messed up movie. Like I could watch this again.
Yeah.
I do not want to watch the sadness again.
No.
Like
no.
Yeah.
Nope. The sadness is a one-time watch. Like
But I feel like I nailed the sadness poster, though. Like
you did. It's like Martyrs. I will never watch Martyrs again without like it being on this podcast. So, yeah.
I don't know if I want to even put it on. Like that is the number one movie that is like, you know, on everyone's list that people are like, oh, fucking Martyrs, and I'm like,
dude, I'm telling. Listen to me here. It's not as bad as, again, it's like remember fucking
I know.
Yeah, exactly. The audition is all you have to think about. It gets metal at the end, but it's
was nothing.
The tone of
I liked it, but it was like, I'm like, how is this even a horror movie? This is like a romantic drama and just creepy because the guy's a creep, but like it's just like, it's a drama.
Yeah, we'll do it at some point, and it's worth watching. But like, it's
I guess I've seen this and the sadness.
Yeah. I mean, dude, there's things from like Hellraiser and other things like that you're not like that far off. Like, you know, it's like skinning alive and shit like that. So yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if we have a plan for next week. We'll figure it out, but. We'll probably tweet out what we're going to do and just go from there. Because Josh and I have been so fucking busy, and we're like recording this, and so we'll record it out and let everyone know, though. Anything else you want to say about this before we get out of here?
I love art.
Art is dope. Again, David Howard Thornton. I don't know why he has 3 names, but he does. Does a really, really good job. Lauren Lavera as Sienna is fucking dope. I love her. She's like one of the best final girls already, and just from one movie. This movie's dope. Yeah, it's really cool. If you like gore, if you get squeamish with blood, don't go watch this movie. That's all.
Like,
I mean.
There was people that were passing out and puking, seeing the sadness, but it didn't gain any traction because it was a foreign movie, and they're like, foreign movies are all crazy, whatever. Whereas Terrifier 2, people like it's one of those things like. It worked out for Hostel as well. Like it got the same type of like, you know, viral news buzz from people passing out, and it's like how many times I think Hereditary it also worked out for too. People are passing out in the theater and having to get taken out on stretchers. It's a classic like, okay, we push hard and make sure that everybody knows that story went out. Like,
it's free press. Like you just like get that story written and then it's free press. So
yeah.
I thought it was dope though. I had a blast with it. And I'm excited for more of art. So,
yay!
Okay, you beautiful fuck.
Gizmo, I love you, buddy.
He's a cool little dude.
He's a cool little dude.
Gizmo. Oh, hell, Gizmo. Oh, yeah, Gizmo. Okay. Murdermoose.com JoshWRB.com, JoshWRB on Twitter and all that stuff. We've been posting the videos have been going live, and then like we've been tweeting it out from our Twitter, and you can watch the premiere of Josh most of the time. And yeah, and
I'm kind of there. I'm at work while I do it, so I'm like, yeah, cool. And then I'm working, and then I'm listening, and then my boss walks in, and I'm like, I'm only working.
Yeah, I'm Rod_Johnston everywhere. Gizmo is Gizmo, and he's just Gizmo. I went as Gizmo to the Res Rocks, and Josh's his arm is attacking him. Yeah. Oh, I have a onesie, a Gizmo onesie that I wore.
Oh, nice.
And it was really cold, so it was a good thing to wear. So,
nice.
Yeah, and we'll tweet out, like I said, on the thing, and I'll make sure you give us a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever, or give us a review, and follow our YouTube so you get more videos of Gizmo. So, okay. And Josh, I love your face, you beautiful bastard. And
love you too,
I guess
buddy.
We'll see you guys next week. So.
Yo!